Hey everyone, welcome back to Flexify 2. This is the show for anyone who realized that working hard was only half the battle and is ready to figure out what the other half actually is. Pull up a chair. It's time to read between the lines. Today, I want to talk to you about the room that you're actually standing in. I'm talking about the real workplace, not the one they described to you during your orientation week with the colorful slides and the glossy pamphlets and the beautifully worded core values painted on the lobby wall. Nope, today we're pulling back the curtain on the real machine, the one running silently underneath the floorboards of your everyday 9 to 5. Think back to when you first entered the professional world. We are fed a very specific, comforting narrative from a very young age. We're told that if you just work hard, put your head down, over-deliver your metrics, and stay loyal, the system will naturally recognize you. The cream rises to the top. Merit is king, right? But if you've been in the corporate world for more than a minute, you start to notice the cracks in the story. You look around the office, or you look at the Zoom tiles on your screen, and you start to realize the organizational chart doesn't actually reflect raw capability. In fact, let's be entirely honest with ourselves. If companies promoted solely on who was the most skilled, most qualified, and best suited for the role, the names on those executive office doors would probably look 95% different. So what is actually happening here? Why does doing good work so often feel like it's not enough? Today, we are going to unpack two brutal hidden rules of workplace survival that your boss, human resources, and the executives at the top are probably hoping you never quite figure out. We're going to talk about the illusion of job security, the trap of indivisible indispensability, and why your talent might actually be working against you. Let's start with the first big lie we tell ourselves, and it centers around the concept of job security. When we feel anxious in a role, our natural hardwired human response is to try to make ourselves indispensable. We become the go-to person. We become the fixer. We're the ones who master that incredibly convoluted legacy software that no one else wants to touch. We become the person who holds the chaotic, messy back end of a project together with nothing but sheer willpower and late-night Slack messages. We look at our overflowing inbox, we look at how much our team relies on us, and we whisper to ourselves, they could never fire me. They could never lay me off. I'm too essential. But here is the trap, and I want you to really hear me on this. Job security does not come from being essential. It comes from being essential in a way the people above you can explain it in one single sentence. Let that sink in for a moment. You might be the most critical person on your entire team. You might be pulling 60-hour weeks, saving fires left and right, acting as a psychological glue holding your department together. But if the executive making the budget decision 3 levels above you cannot easily describe what you do to their peers in a casual elevator ride, you're already vulnerable. You just haven't been told yet. Because in the corporate ecosystem, value that cannot be narrated cannot be defended. Let's look at how this plays out in reality. When the market dips or when a company decides it's time for restructuring and they bring in those expensive external consultants, they aren't looking at the micro nuances of your daily effort. They're looking at spreadsheets. They are looking at role definitions. If your value requires a 3-paragraph essay to justify, if your manager has to sit there and say, well, technically John or Sarah doesn't manage just the data, they also coordinate across 3 other teams and manually fix the API bugs that happen on Tuesdays, you are in danger. To a distant executive, that complexity doesn't look like value. It looks like inefficiency. It looks like an anomaly, and anomalies get erased. The names that survive the chopping block during a corporate layoff aren't necessarily the most important people. They are the most explainable people. She runs the sales for the North region. He manages the cloud infrastructure. One sentence, clear, definitive. If you are hiding in the shadows doing the thankless, invisible heavy lifting, you aren't building job security. You're building a structural dependency that someone else is going to take credit for right up until the moment they decide they don't need the structure anymore. Now, let's take this a step deeper. Let's talk about how the system keeps you in that invisible high output state. It does it through a mechanism I like to call praise as extraction. Have you ever had a quarterly review where your manager showered you with compliments? They tell you you're the rock of the team. They tell you they don't know what they would do without you. And they might even give you a shiny little internal award or a shout out on the company-wide newsletter. It feels good, right? A hit of dopamine. It validates all those late nights and skipped lunches. But then, a month later, you ask about a promotion. Or you ask for a raise that matches the massive increase in your workload. Suddenly, the tone shifts. The language changes. Suddenly, the budget is tight this fiscal year. Or, we need to see you sustain this level of performance for a bit longer. Or there's a hiring freeze above us, and that's out of my hands. This is the great disconnect. And this is where you have to realize that in a broken corporate culture, praise is not a down payment for your future advancement. Praise is a cheap substitute for compensation. Think about the economics of it. If a company can keep you producing at 150% capacity just by giving you a little title change without a raise, or by telling you how valued you are during a one-on-one meeting, they have just successfully extracted 20, 30, or 40% more output from you for free. They are using your own integrity, your own work ethic, and your own desire for validation against you. When you are labeled as the reliable one, what you are often actually being told is you are too valuable exactly where you are to ever be moved or promoted. Because think about it from your manager's perspective. If they promote you out of that grueling foundational role, who's going to do all that invisible work? They would have to hire 2 or 3 people to replace you. It is entirely in their best interest to keep you right where you are, drowning in work, but just happy enough with their verbal praise that you don't jump ship. This is why visibility will almost always outrank raw effort. The person who does 20% of the work but spends 80% of their time presenting it to upper management will move up faster than the person doing 80% of the work in total silence. It's a painful truth. But the sooner you accept it, the sooner you stop playing the wrong game. So, where does that leave us? Does it mean we should all just become cynical, lazy, and bitter? Does it mean we should stop trying? Absolutely not. Because bitterness is just another way of letting the system win. Bitterness means you're still emotionally reacting to a game you don't control. Instead, I want to talk about the ultimate advantage you can have at work. It isn't your talent. It isn't your fancy degree. It's not how fast you can type, how well you write code, or how charismatic you are in a slide presentation. The biggest, most unfair advantage you will ever have in your career is seeing the system clearly before it needs you to stay confused. Because make no mistake, the system wants you confused. It thrives on your confusion. The entire corporate apparatus functions best when you are stuck in a state of perpetual hope and anxiety, hoping the next promotion is just around the corner, and anxious that if you take your foot off the gas even for a second, it will all come crashing down. Every single unwritten rule runs perfectly whether you see it or not. The labels on your career, whether you're deemed leadership material or just a steady individual contributor, are being written in rooms you will never enter by people who might not even know your face. Loyalty in the modern corporate landscape is a one-way street. It is an asset companies expect from you, but rarely insurance they extend back to you. But something truly transformative shifts the exact moment you actually see the matrix. When you see the system clearly, you stop mistaking a casual, friendly compliment from your manager for actual career protection. You stop treating a bit of exclusive high-level access as a sign of true corporate loyalty. And most importantly, you stop performing harder. burning your candle at both ends and destroying your mental health when the problem was never your performance to begin with. You start reading the actual room. You begin to realize that your relationship with your job is a business transaction, nothing more, nothing less. They buy your time and skills, you buy their capital and experience. When you strip away the emotional baggage, the guilt, and the desperate need for corporate approval, you suddenly gain immense power. You stop being a pawn on the board and you start looking at the board from above. You start asking the right questions. Instead of asking, how do I make my boss like me? You start asking, how do I ensure my work is structurally visible to the people who actually sign off on the promotions? Instead of asking, how can I take on more tasks? You start asking, how do I align myself with the core revenue drivers of this company so that my role is impossible to misinterpret on a spreadsheet? And you know what the funniest thing is? Once you see it, you can't go back. You can't go back. Not because you become a bad employee or toxic presence in the office. Quite the opposite. You often become much more effective because you no longer waste your energy on the noise. You are no longer carrying the emotional weight of an institution that cannot love you back. You haven't become bitter or cynical. You've just become grounded. You've become the most dangerous thing a broken system can ever face. The one person in the room they can no longer emotionally manipulate, and the one person whose value they can no longer take. So as you go into this week, take a look at your daily routine. Look at where you're spending your energy. Are you building an invisible empire of thankless tasks? Or are you positioning yourself protecting your boundaries, ensuring your worth is undeniable and easily understood. Work hard, deliver excellent work for your own pride and craftsmanship, but never forget to protect your peace. Look at the system for exactly what it is, what they promise you. Thank you for listening and hanging out with me. If this episode hit home for you, do me a favor. Send it to that one coworker or friend burning themselves out and needs a reality. Let's look out for each other out there. Until next time, protect your peace. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay grounded. God bless. I'll catch you in the next episode.